All right. Good day, everyone. Haki Ami, the Success Scholar here. Honorable One, thank you for tuning in. Sapo. Yes, beautiful day, beautiful day. I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about this upcoming Tupac film. Uh, it's going to be coming out in June. And as a prelude to that, I wanted to take some time to actually really understand more on the life and history of Tupac and how I'm going to attempt to uh, make that message relevant to today and for the young people of today in terms of both the pros and cons and just the positive and negatives of how individuals responded to Tupac, of course, and so what I got actually, I went out and got this book, "Holler If You Hear Me," the Searching for Tupac by Eric Dyson, who did a extensive research and interviewed several key individuals, including his mother, several other individuals, Al Sharpton, and Jada Pickett, several authors, several rappers. So I really didn't know. Actually, I'm halfway through the book. Let me see. Yes, I'm halfway through it right now, and I really didn't know the depth. I mean, and let me just say why I'm actually interested in even having a discussion about this, because many people assume or think that I'm one way, or that I grew up with a silver spoon in my mouth, or that I didn't have any connections to the streets on that level. But of course, if you read the book, and I don't attempt to gloat or glorify anything that I did in the past, or I don't try to make it a Donald Goins fairy tale or anything, but I related, and particularly having coming from Baltimore, I could relate to some of the experiences that Tupac may have had at that time. So, and being a part of hip hop culture at that time, Tupac actually influenced me, and I'm sure many of my peers, way beyond what we had anticipated. And as I was reading the book a little bit more, I just thought about, how as I reflect as an older brother now, and I reflect how things happen in history and in society that cause people to try to mimic a particular individual, or we idolize individuals who inspire us, or who we feel some affinity or attachment to. And so for me, without necessarily me consciously knowing that I was actually following Tupac, or that I was a part of the West Side Connection or whatever. I mean, I really had that level of connection, so much so that coming up and as a young black man attempting to create an identity, I didn't see many different individuals. And yes, my father certainly was around, and did a great job with what he knew at that time. And so there was that balancing act of having a stable family environment to some levels, but also experiencing and having peers that experience much of the poverty, frustration, police violence, police brutality, miseducation, undereducation, drugs, and criminal activity in the urban environment. So, I certainly experienced that. So, with that being said, again, as I'm reading this book, and me being an author as well, and thinking and reading how Tupac was, you couldn't just put him in any particular category. And I heard an interview some years ago where he talked about how he studied many different rap, uh, different artist forms, and how he mastered them. And he used an analogy of the film. And matter of fact, this was in a conversation, and you can all look up that interview that he did with the it was the author of the book Monsters, Shaka Sankori, I believe his name. He was the wrote the book The Monster, um, and he shared just how he studied different artists at that time, and and I didn't know that until later. Now that I see myself, how I've studied and mastered different skills and different talents of several different speakers, I see the parallel as a speaker and writer, and to actually how I duplicated that in a more strictly positive way. There's not no confusion about how racism and white supremacy is going to influence me to a self-destructive manner. And this is what I see the difference. As I read this book, and how Tupac was homeless, and his mother actually, was on substance crack, had a crack addiction, and how he really didn't have the strong nurturing, and even when he got money, it became a tool actually that he didn't really have the maturity to understand. And Jada Pickett, actually, if I may quote her in here, Michael Eric Dyson interviewed her as well. He said that he never really got over his feeling inferior because of how he grew up. And it's interesting, and as I'm experiencing different levels of development, different levels of success right now, uh, sometimes someone once rather sarcastically suggested that I'm actually overcompensating, and I said, yes, you absolutely right. That's what we who recognize what limitations that we had. We go through a process of forward thinking, persistent and consistent development. Right? You commit yourself to self development, excellence, lifelong learning, and you transform your being. You transform your being. And in the tree language in Ghana, West Africa, is called Sesar Waraban. Many people see me post the tree and Dinkra symbol, for transformation. And this is what, my calling, must be, and what your calling need to be about. So I'm not going to go too much more into that, but I'm working on several things in Baltimore, and if you would like to be a part, holla at the Success Scholar, absolutely. And what I just recently did, I reached out to Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. I would love for him to come and speak in the Baltimore area, to speak right around a little bit after the film come out. Uh, I definitely want to get his view both on the film, give him a little time to watch it, of course. So requested a July date, so hopefully he would be able to synergize this film that's coming out on June the 16th. And I believe that this film, will kind of fill some of the parts and pieces that he may not have seen within the book. But I will also mention that I'm working, and I've already reached out for John Patash, and I left the book in the car. Oh my God! So it's called The FBI War on Tupac. So what Michael Eric Dyson says in this book, Dr. Dyson says in this book, is since Afeni Shakur was a member of the New York 21 up in New York, which was the East Coast wing of the Black Panther Party. And she actually, the police, the level of resistance to Tupac, it almost never ceased. It never ceased from him being in uh, Philadelphia. I'm sorry, New York, and then having come down to Baltimore. You know, he always, and particularly with the role of Matulu Shakur, who's still currently locked up, but John Patash, who's a white guy, he actually elaborates. You know, with Freedom of Information Act documents documenting some of the creation of this East Coast West Coast beef. Now, there's another documentary that I'm gonna talk about as well. Is the rap game, something big in Tupac assassination. I'm sorry, but that's something else that individuals need to talk about. But I want to I wanted to let people know that there's more to that story that I'm personally aware of that others can elaborate on to really get a good total understanding of how both, some people feel the need to control the the art of hip hop and create a negative, hostile culture with it. And then there are those that, as it originally started, that wanted to, empower young people. One part in there that I just got finished reading, how what Oprah was doing through her show. Michael Eric Dyson compared Tupac with Oprah in terms of sometimes he would say things in his lyrics and encourage people to read. And many people, and it shares how he was such a, what's the term? Just a voracious reader. Just reading everything he could get his hand on, and that's, and I didn't know at that time, 21 years old. Actually, that's where I got my middle name, Shakur, from. And for those that don't know, or wondering where I'm from, or where you from, what you believe, but yeah. So I was actually influenced to that level to adopt the middle name, but I didn't know at that time how much he was into reading like that, but it's really his level of sophistication, positioning himself to be able to influence people like myself to be able to uh, read the Prince. I mean, yes, I did actually read the whole book, the Prince Machiavelli book, when I was in the Navy, and I never heard anything about that, uh, from school or anyone growing up in my environment. So it's like you have someone who's my age, that's reading about things like this and telling people like this is like a political science, the history of political science in society. And so I believe that if he would have matured through experience and talking to different people, he certainly would have had a more critical impact, and of course he would have matured as well. So with that being said, we working to have Dr. Dyson in the Baltimore area. Yes, and it's about the Tupac, discussion, not anything else. However anybody feels, but so we definitely want to do that. But we also have a tentative a discussion, and Brother John Pratosh, who's a Caucasian guy, sharp individual who's been, working in Philadelphia with Pam Africa, and he put the book out, the FBI War on Tupac Shakur. So we're working to have him as well. So not there, but we doing a few things around this film. I know that this film is going to be big, and so I see for you all that have known me for quite some time, and wonder why I'm trying to do something with rap music, or no, it's like, look, this is a part of who I am and what I've grown through, and I believe sincerely that it's certainly an inspirational message compared to what we see today in the hip hop industry. So we need individuals to support this initiative, to share this video, and to come out, show out, support this empowering Success Scholar initiative. Hopefully, Dr. Dyson come out. But but also we got something working with attentive Dr. Jared Ball, as well as Brother Issa Remove. So we're set to do something there at Terra Cafe on June the 30th. So we definitely have that date locked in. So lock that in. The film drops on June the 16th. All eyes on me. So we may working on some other angles where we may have some screening, some discussion at the actual movie theater. So I'm pushing that. And actually, and we may have one of the actors there. So I'm still working that angle. So I'm definitely in the works of that. Since Tupac was from Baltimore, they did get somebody. I'll look up his name, but someone know him. They see him kind of regularly. So we definitely working on that as well. So that's all I have. Holler at the Success Scholar. Send me an email, hakiammi@gmail.com, or send me a text at 410-209-9687. Those are my direct contacts. You'll get me. So power moves are being made. So stay tuned in. Holler at the Success Scholar. I'm out. Peace.